Greetings, Captains. Welcome to another TFO training session. This time we'll cover Khitomer Vortex. Let's review objectives.
Initially, destroy the Borg cube guarding the conduits. Once it is down, attack both gateways. The gateways are protected by generators, which are in turn protected by transformers. Destroy the transformers and generators to make the gateways vulnerable, then destroy the gateways. During this phase, you must also prevent Borg probes from reaching the time vortex. This objective is mandatory on Elite. When the gateways are destroyed, defeat the assimilated warbird and its attendant ships that will arrive to stop you. There is a 10-minute time limit to completing this TFO, which is mandatory on Elite.
Thank you. On to risks and rewards. This TFO needs substantial coordination to play well on Elite, with all optionals and without dying. It is possible to complete in a public group, but a tank is usually needed for a deathless completion, and the time limit objective creates a fairly high DPS threshold compared to the rest of Star Trek Online. If you aren't already parsing over 250k DPS in ISE, we do not recommend you attempt this TFO, especially in a public setting. The enemy threat level is moderately high, as Borg will drain shields and deal a decent amount of damage, and there are many Borg ships, though they are not as clustered as in maps like Hive or Infected. For rewards, this TFO offers a moderate amount of Omega or Fleet Marks, along with a chance for Enchained Current Pieces. Lastly, this operation's duration is variable. While it is not time-gated, there are a large number of high hit point enemies, so while we could complete it in under 5 minutes, including the briefing, that was with at least 2 1 million DPS ships, a 500k heavy tank, and 2 other DPS ships above 500k on ISE. Your mileage may vary. The adversaries on this operation are Borg. Borg vessels have a powerful shield drain ability, so encounters with them need to account for low shield uptime. There are generally not too many at once, but there are a substantial number of assimilators and cubes to fight, so a tank would be helpful. The key part of this mission is the second stage, where probes from both gateways need to be intercepted before they can reach the time portal. You could simply station one player on goalkeeper duty, but we find that inefficient. Instead, we generally adopt either a 3-2 or 4-1 split. In the case of a 4-1 split, we prefer to have the solo player engage probes but also attack the peripheral Borg structures. This player is preferably in an exotic or projectile build, so that they can attack from long range without damage penalty, and apply large area of effects or damage over time abilities to wear down some of the structures without being in range. If the 1 or 2 players, the weak side players, can even partially whittle down some of the structures without neglecting probes, that will take time pressure off of the team. Lastly, in the warbird stage, avoid approaching within 5 kilometers of Dinatra's warbird, as this will increase the likelihood of her cloaking, which slows down the map and can place time pressure on a lower DPS team. She has a substantial number of hit points. The spheres and probes that spawn in this stage will not beeline for the time portal, so you have some time to defeat them while Dinatra is cloaked. Tank builds are effective on this map, as there is plenty of incoming fire that can be drawn away from the rest of the team, allowing them to focus on dealing damage. That said, the map is split into 2 halves, and a single tank can't cover both sides simultaneously. In the current state of the game, a tank is not needed to complete this map, even deathlessly, but it is helpful. For this particular TFO, it's preferable to have a more damage-oriented or heavy tank rather than a supportive one. In the first stage, attack the central cube. After it's defeated, pick a side and move to it. Try to stay near at least a couple of other players to draw fire. If for some reason you are the solo player, we'll illustrate how to fly this map from the solo player perspective in our exotic playthrough of this. That said, if you're a tank, you really shouldn't be the solo player. Jay and I like to start with the transformer farthest from the spawn point, as that places you in better position to intercept the probes coming from the gateway. For best results, position over the transformer to draw aggro from both the cubes and the assimilator. In this case, we took down the transformer and then the assimilator and cubes over it, but you could initially ignore the ships to focus on structures. That does tend to result in more incoming damage at the gateway fight. As the first stage progresses, keep an eye out for probes spawning near the gateway. Here, Jay moves away from the transformer as it goes down to catch a couple of probes in his fire oil radius. Once the first transformer is down, move to the next, being careful to watch for probes attempting to escape. Just like on Infected, use a speed boost to cross the gateway quickly. Remember, this mission is on a timer, and you can leave the assimilators or cubes for later, While the structures are engaged, destroying the gateway will prevent any more probes from spawning. Jay shifts towards the gateway here again as the transformer goes down to ensure that any probes are destroyed and to start engaging the gateway. The transformers are down by now, so target the gateway and finish it off. Your damage should easily pick off any probes or spheres near it as well, without targeting them. Jay's ship is extremely durable and doesn't take much damage here, but this is one of the areas with the most incoming fire. Be aware of that and have your survival buttons ready. Finish off any cubes or assimilators left, then use a speed boost to cross to the other side and its gateway. Notice that our solo player has already dealt with the smaller generators on the first transformer before we arrived, while also intercepting probes. Again, we focused down the cubes before turning on the gateway to make the gateway fight easier. Still keep an eye out for probes and take down each transformer. With the full team here, it should go faster. Once the second gateway and all the Borg ships near it are down, move back to the center of the map. Once the scimitar arrives, that is your main target, but don't be surprised if she cloaks a few times, going invisible. While she's hidden and untargetable, engage the spheres and probes that will appear, but Dinatra is the focus whenever she is available. We're flying very capable ships, and it still takes us almost 90 seconds. So ideally you have more time left than that on the mission timer before it fails to defeat her. When she engages her Thaleron pulse, that big green cone, you'll want to get clear of that area. Even though we force her invisible, the ability still goes off, and Jay's ship, which has taken basically no damage for the rest of the TFO, sinks to a mere 11% hit points. It would have one-shot a lesser ship, so take heed and stay out of that cone.
Stay off that cone!
Also, try to stay more than 5 kilometers away from her, as she will cloak more often if approached, but sometimes it can't be helped. Once she finally goes down, the mission ends. Captain, if this breakdown helped you in your quest to play Stowe better, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. The link to the specific build used for this tutorial is in the description. For more guides and builds, check us out at www.stobetter.com.